Spurs fans are fired up at this situation as Brian Wright made the move to bring in Bismack Biyombo. Talks are surfacing that he will leave and is linked to a certain other Western Conference team that will likely snag him out from under the Spurs' grasp. As San Antonio is looking for another backup big, there are really not many options out on the market. We have to dive into what is going on with Bismack Biyombo, how he could very well be on his way to another team like the Lakers, and what this means for the Spurs center position going forward. There's a lot to talk about coming up on this episode of Spurs Digest, and let's just dive straight into the video. But before we get to Biz and all this stuff with the Lakers and an article I'm going to share with you guys, I want to start with something I found on Victor Wembanyama. I know we talk about him all the time, but he's doing some insanely impressive things. And look, if you want to skip ahead to the Biz stuff, there's a timestamp, but I think you'll actually be interested in this because this is absolutely wild to me. So we're going to start with this thing that I got from B-Ball Index over on Twitter. Now, if you don't follow B-Ball Index, go do it. They are a fantastic Twitter account. Go take a look at the stuff. But they said that Wemby qualifies as a 3-and-D player, which is funny because we don't think of stars that way. And that's very true. I'll zoom in this graphic for you so you can have a better look. Let's take a look at what they're talking about here. So they just brought up his perimeter shooting profile. And there's a few things I want to bring your attention to. First of all, the amount of A's, A minuses, and A pluses on pretty much everything. Overall gravity in the 90th percentile. Off-ball gravity, 90th. 96th percentile in three-point shooting talent. 93rd in three-point shot making efficiency. Catch and shoot, three-point shooting talent, 98th percentile. So the advanced stats are all painting an incredible picture for his shooting. But not only is this great on its own? Of course, Victor Wembanyama shooting great from three. I mean, look, that's great. I mean, look, his averages this season are nothing insane, I suppose, with the 35% from three. But 47% of all of his shots are from three. And we just saw how good he is at making them, or his basically, pedigree around the league for like his three-point shooting talent, his shot making efficiency. But look at that F, right? That F is the big thing I wanted to point out right here. His three-point shot quality is an F, minus 2.09 value in the 0th percentile, which tells us that Victor Wembanyama quite literally has the worst three-point shot quality in the NBA. Now, I want to preface that, well, I guess not preface because I'm already talking about it, but I want to add to that Victor Wembanyama's three-point shots, like, they use a lot of tracking data for this kind of stuff. So, I assume there's a lot of tightly contested, this, with defenders a certain distance from him, right? The thing is with Wemby is even if there's a defender right next to him, he can just shoot over them. That's part of the reason we've had him shooting so many threes this early in his career, so that he can get used to pulling up, I guess, in traffic with defenders around him. So he is not afraid to let it fly, even if there's someone right next to him, because he knows he's not going to get blocked, right? And he's still going to get a good look at it. But still, the fact that this guy is in the 0th percentile in three-point shot quality, yet is in the 90th plus percentile in most other three-point metrics in terms of his value shooting threes is absurd to me. Like, I feel like I can't put that into perspective enough. Like, again, if we just look at this, the dude is averaging 24.5 points a game. 47% of all his attempts are from three. He's 7'3", 35% from three, yet he's taking terrible threes. It's insane to look at that and think this guy's a second-year player, right? He's just scratching the surface. I know we talk about this all the time, but I just needed to highlight that because to me, it was genuinely mind-blowing. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below. Crazy stuff. Go follow B-Ball Index on Twitter. Like, there's a lot more great stuff like that. Just love to shout out when it's our Spurs doing it. But we got to move on to the main topic of this video. And look, this is centered around our boy Biz. Now, this comes from an article that I will link down below saying the Lakers need to be patient and sign a Spurs player when he becomes available. Biyombo signed a 10-day contract with the Spurs on February 9th, but hasn't made an impact. He's appeared in one game for the Spurs and is expected to return to free agency once his current deal expires. Seems to be that way. The Lakers will have to swoop in and snatch him up before the Spurs or any other team tries signing him to a full-time deal or another 10-day contract. Now, I would show you Biyombo's stats, but there's not much to show. So instead, I'll just show you the box score of the only game he played in. So let's start first with Biz on the Spurs and what this means, right? And whether we'll let him walk. Because at this point, I'm of two minds about this. So we'll start with the fact he only played 25 seconds in their game against Boston. He didn't play in the game before that. His only time with the Spurs is 25 seconds. And if we look at the players that were ran in this game, Wemby is the only center. I mean, some people like Sochan's getting a few spot center minutes, right? But look at that bench, right? Sochan, Johnson, Champagny, and Castle. And then the next biggest player besides Wemby that was playing is Sochan, or maybe like I guess Barnes in terms of height. But like, Sochan, Barnes, Keldon Johnson is kind of like your backup center core. Like that doesn't make sense, right? So the whole reason the Spurs brought in a guy like Biyombo, Bassey is still out right now. You'd imagine he'd be getting some of those spot minutes, but you brought him in because there are some problems. As Mitch Johnson stated, the Spurs have no physicality, no good screens. They miss good shots, but the team didn't put pressure on in the paint and at the rim. And these are things that Biyombo can do on offense and on defense, right? Like he doesn't have much of an offensive profile, but he can still slam it down. I mean, we've seen some videos of him doing it. We've watched him play, and he can protect the rim. So first off, my question is why bring him in if this is what you're going to do with him, right? But the second thing I want to say is like, yes, like I think he could objectively provide value without practicing, but the Spurs haven't really had much time to practice. And there are systems that players need to learn. A 10-day contract is not a great, it doesn't give you a lot of time to really learn that stuff, especially as it expires like just after the All-Star break. It's a bit of a weird time, right? So on one hand, I think giving Biyombo some more time to practice with the team, to learn the team's systems, could really work out. But on the other hand, it's like what he brings is a lot of energy, some rim protection, and he can dunk the ball on offense. Like there's not a whole lot that I think you need to practice, especially when you look at the rotation of bigs that the Spurs have been running since they brought him in. So I actually do think that they're probably going to let him walk and look for someone else. And again, the Lakers taking him just annoys me, right? I think it annoys a lot of us. I don't want the Lakers going snatching him up. They just got Alex Len. I mean, Alex Len is fine. He's averaging like 1-1 this year or something, though he had like 7 boards last game for the Lakers. It was like 4.7 boards. But now with Jackson Hayes going down with a facial contusion, they're looking for another big, and they could actually sign both Len and Biyombo. They might have to waive someone like Reddish. Like there's some question marks there, but talking to some of the guys at Lakers Digest, like they're like, hey, why not? Why not bring in Biz? So there's that whole thing of like, it looks like he could actually get snatched up. Like if the Spurs if they aren't proactive in signing a second 10-day, if that's not their goal, the Lakers could very well come in and snag him. So that means the Spurs are forced to make a decision right now. Is Biz that guy that you want to sign to another 10-day and then maybe a guaranteed deal after that? Or is there someone else on the market? And I want to point to a guy, Mo Bamba, again. Now, the kind of issue with Mo Bamba is that he's not as physical or physically imposing as a guy like Biz, who's more strong and he's going to throw you around a little bit more. Mo is a little bit more of a skilled big, but can still protect the rim. And I've brought him up a bunch, right? He's still in that buyout market. He was waived by the Jazz after being sent there with PJ Tucker and cash in that Patty Mills trade, that small trade that I think a lot of us even forget happened around the deadline. But he's waived. He's not with the team right now, at least as of the recording of this video. But the thing with Mo Bamba is that on his career, not only can he protect the rim, he can shoot threes. He's kind of a 3-and-D backup big because, look, if the Spurs want those energy minutes and Bismack Biyombo's not it, like, you still do have, I mean, Bassey's out, but, like, I don't know. We don't really know how long he's going to be. Whatever. I think Mo Bamba can come in and immediately be kind of like I don't know if I want to say a better Sandro, because I don't know if that's really the case. Sandro's a good shooter and he's strong, but Bamba I do think is more skilled than Sandro overall. And if we look at Mo Bamba's stats, like, this season, they're not ideal. 29.4% on corner threes. All of his threes are assisted, no surprise. He's not going to create them on his own. But he takes almost half his shots from 3 this season. And again, 30% is a career low for him. Oh, he tied with his rookie season. But I mean, you look at the last few years there, 23, 24 in Philly, 39% on 1 attempt a game. The year before, 39% on 2.5 attempts a game. The year before, 38% while starting 69 games on 4 attempts a game. He's only a couple of years removed, right? 3 years removed from that 11-point, 1.7 block season, shooting 38% from 3 on 4 attempts a game. I think that in the right situation, he could work very well for the Spurs. Like we've seen, it wasn't often it happened, but when Zach Collins was hitting his threes, it felt like he was a nice guy to have there coming off the bench. Unfortunately, it ended up not really working out. I wish him the best, of course, Chicago, wherever he ends up down the road in his career, but like having a backup big that can shoot threes, that can also protect the rim, and also potentially step in and set some good screens, be a bit more physical, that helps the Spurs right now. I think it could actually work. But look, there's other options other than a guy like Mo Bamba, but it seems like Bismack Biyombo, one, he's not really working out. I think the way the Spurs planned, though, like I said, I do think they'll probably give him a bit more leeway, a bit longer of a leash, maybe a second 10-day to see if he can really adjust to the system. But if he's not not that guy, a guy like Mo Bamba, I think is worth taking a shot on. I'm just calling my shot here. There might be other factors causing the Spurs not to do that, or even the Lakers. Like, why haven't they went and got him? Why have the Spurs and Lakers went and got guys like Alex Len and Bismack Biyombo when Mo Bamba's available, right? Daniel Tice is reportedly signing in Monaco. Christian Wood, I think, is waived as well. I'm not sure if he got claimed, but there's other guys, but I don't know. I just got a feeling about this, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Lakers potentially sweeping up Bismack Biyombo, and do you see him leaving the Spurs? There's a lot of question marks around it right now, so I'd love to hear from you, but that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, hey, I forgot to ask you this earlier in the video, hit subscribe to the channel. We're pushing 6,000 subs. The support's been absolutely insane, and if you made it here over 10 minutes into the video, I think we've earned your support at this point. Plus, it's completely free. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.